One of our concerns, and something that we've been questioned about since we started traveling full-time, was how are we going to celebrate holidays? What are we going to do during the holidays while we're living in our RV and traveling across the country?
One of the biggest questions we get is, how do we actually do this from the road? What holidays do we celebrate?
And our kids were most concerned about what we were going to do for their birthdays. We decided to do a holiday special today and tell you a little bit about how we've celebrated some of the holidays so far and our future plans too.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and if you haven't already done so, please hit that like and also the subscribe button down below for us.
Thanks for joining us. Let's jump right in. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to be talking all about the holidays that we've celebrated on the road. You can see we have our Christmas tree up because we're in the middle of a holiday season, but we're going to tell you everything that we've done since we hit the road starting back in early May of 2023. We hit the road the first week in May, so technically Cinco de Mayo was our first holiday when we had been on the road maybe 1 or 2 days.
Any excuse to have a margarita, right?
So we had a margarita. That was how we celebrated that. Then we had Mother's Day a couple weeks later, and we were driving between locations. I think we were coming between Wyoming and Montana maybe. So we celebrated that by going out to dinner after we arrived. And I needed whatever we ate and drank that night because that was my first scary towing the trailer through the mountains experience, which I had not done to that point.
The first kind of official real holiday that we technically celebrated was our anniversary. We did that in Montana. A lot of you have been following the channel know that the Montana stop was probably our worst, least favorite spot that we've stayed in thus far on the trip, but we still found a way to actually celebrate and had a great time. We found a local spot that we could go to, have a couple drinks, had a great dinner, and really just had a pretty good anniversary celebrating 15 years.
Yeah, 15 years married, and we're still together. This was back in May, which if you can live in an RV with your spouse, that will put your marriage to the test, but we're still together. And you can actually watch that video. We'll link that one, yeah, over there, so that you can watch it and see why everything went wrong there. But like Brandon said, we did dinner and drinks, and it was 15 years married. So our next big holiday that we went and looked for things to do was actually the 4th of July. And we have not shown you any of this footage, so I'm excited to show it. But the 4th of July, we found some really fun things to do. We were in Salem, Oregon, and I have to say, after being in Colorado the last several years where we're typically under a fire ban and we don't get to do fireworks anymore, I loved the fireworks show that we got to experience in Salem. What else did we do while we were there?
I got to see Alabama, the band Alabama, live. It was a sort of a last minute thing. Sonny was looking around, figuring out things that were going on. We found this at the state fairgrounds. They were having, was it state fairgrounds?
Yeah,
I think it was the state fairgrounds of Oregon. They were having this festival where she was talking about the fireworks. That's what we saw, but she starts reading through the things, and one of the top things was Alabama, and then she passed it and went to a different thing and to a different thing, and I said, whoa, wait a second, did you just say Alabama, like the band Alabama, the famous country band Alabama? And she's like, yeah, I think so. Looked it up.
I'm not the country fan, so.
She's not. Looked it up. Sure enough, it was the official Alabama band, and I watched them for 3 hours that night. It was amazing. I did it by myself. They were, the rest of the family, not country fans like me, they were outside. I joined them before the main spectacular fireworks happened, so I did technically miss like the last 2 songs, but well worth it to see an excellent fireworks show with your family. So
Now, I have been to Alabama's restaurant in Nashville, so I did know who they were at least. But yeah, the rest of us did not go to the concert, but they had rides and food trucks and things like that. It was unbearably hot that day.
Very hot.
Really, really hot. But the kids and I found a spot under a tree where, we were able to hang out, and we waited until the fireworks started, and then they had patriotic music, not sung by Alabama, unfortunately, but patriotic music and fireworks to wrap up the festivities for the evening. So it was a fun 4th of July, and very reminiscent, I think, of, you know, childhood throwback. Go watch the fireworks, wear your patriotic gear. Everybody was in red, white, and blue. And so we had a great time, even though we weren't at home and didn't know anybody there.
Yep. So the next official holiday, mine was unofficial, but this one's official, is Sunny's birthday. We have to celebrate that every year, find something fun to do. No, we actually have been planning the area out for quite some time because Sunny's not a big wine drinker. She likes drinking wine. So we actually managed to book around Napa. We were actually in Vacaville for the majority of it, but we decided to go towards Napa, stopped in at a couple wineries. We ended up in Napa specifically, and then we saw the castle tour there, which you guys have all seen. If you've been watching our video, we'll link that one here. Castillo de Amorosa was the name of it. Great winery, expensive, but I would...
It's Napa.
It's Napa. I would actually recommend not going to Napa to have wine, but go in the surrounding sort of small towns, because really there's great wine through the entire valley there, but Napa is really a lot more expensive just because of the name.
Because it's Napa, yeah.
Because it's Napa. I would recommend going to some of the other outlying towns that have a lot of wineries and stuff like that, and just finding a couple there and enjoying the day. We did that and found an awesome little Greek food truck that Sunny really loves Greek food, so it was easy. We'll put some footage of here, some slow-mo of her eating some of her, Greek food. She spills it all over herself every time she eats, but yeah, that's pretty much what we did for Sunny's birthday.
So I will say, he's giving me a hard time. We really don't emphasize my birthday very often. I mean, really, it's all about the kids. It's all about everybody else. If you're a mom, you know this. Sometimes moms, you do everything, but you get left out. And I had wanted to go to Napa for years, but Brandon is not a big wine drinker. And when our kids were little, we were in that common conundrum, I think, as parents, where it was like, okay, who's going to watch our kids? Is it worth it to go on a Napa couples trip with him not really drinking wine? So it really worked out well, I think, in the RV, because like Brandon said, we were staying in Vacaville, so we actually did the Bay Area, we did Sacramento, we did Napa, all of these different things from that one site, so we didn't have to move the trailer at all, but we were able to spend the weekend in Napa, which is, I think, one of the cutest walkable downtown areas. I wish we would have had more time, because I would have paddleboarded the river. It's a beautiful space, and there's a river right through Napa. But then, yeah, check out some of the wineries. The tastings are so much fun, and a lot of them, if you buy a bottle, they'll waive your tasting fees, and there's, I'm sure, a bunch of ways to make it a little less expensive. But I agree with Brandon that the Napa name has made a lot of the wineries very expensive. However, we have been to Harvest Hosts in California. We have had wine in other places in California. California's got great growing conditions for wine, so you can find really good wine for a lot less elsewhere. But I do think if you like wine, it's a good spot to go visit at least once in your life. And you still found some things to drink, which you weren't. He wasn't bored.
Nope.
So my birthday actually falls around 9/11 and around Labor Day every year. And so we actually happen to be in Napa, where there's a 9/11 memorial right there that we weren't expecting to see, and we happened to be in Napa on September 10th. So that was kind of a cool experience. I don't know that cool is the right word for something so tragic, but to be able to explain that to our kids. We actually took them to Ground Zero in New York several years ago, but they don't remember a lot of it. So to hear about that day and what that meant for Brandon and me, as that was probably the most pivotal historical event that's happened in our lifetime, was a neat experience together as a family. So look around where you're at, because you might bump into things like that, various memorials and things, and for us it just happened to be very timely. Our next holiday was Halloween. I keep skipping over this one because I only briefly did a little bit of it. Really?
I took Steel, yeah.
You took Steel? Yeah, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So, Yeah, Sonny just didn't really have any desire to go do it this year. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was
Brielle is
so.
old enough.
So I had been traveling a whole bunch leading up to that point, and
Back to Alaska.
back to Alaska. Brielle is no longer trick or treating. Steele is kind of getting to that age where in a few years he's not going to want to do it anymore, and so I really wanted to be back here for it. I wanted to take him and help him pick out his costume and do that stuff. Now he didn't take any of the suggestions that I said because we are in the desert, hit triple digits during that week there that we were here, and I said, hey, maybe you shouldn't get the full ninja costume with the mask and full like head to toe black. He didn't listen to me. Sonny took him to the community sort of trick-or-treating
like
festival
a trick-or-treat
thing.
on Main Street type deal.
Yeah, and he was just miserable because he was hot the entire time. So if he would have listened to me, he would have been out there in maybe some jeans and a shorter shirt and no mask, nothing like that. But anyways, I managed to find a really cool neighborhood to take him down. We saw a bunch of really cool houses. They go all out here for whatever reason. I don't know what the deal is, but there was some...
Probably because it's warm. So it's
Yeah,
easy
probably.
to set out your decoration. In Colorado, you might have snow at Halloween.
Yeah, but there were, I'd never seen so many houses that were decorated to the nines to try to, get the kids to come by and get candy, I guess. But it was a really cool walk around in one of the neighborhoods, and we'll post some of that footage here for some people. So.
Then there was Thanksgiving. We decided to make that holiday especially interesting by buying a new camper, moving. His mom was in town. Watch that video linked over here as well. But we were still able to celebrate Thanksgiving.
Yeah, the Thanksgiving tradition for us is getting our meal made, eating our meal, sitting down, relaxing the whole day, and just kind of kicking back and just relaxing.
Yeah, which we have recliners now too, so
Yes.
better able to relax.
So the next one is Christmas, which we just celebrated. You can still see the tree is still up. We have stockings hung by the mantle with care. I think we had a pretty successful Christmas with the kids this year. Everybody sent everything out, which again, is typically what they do when we're back home in Colorado. We had everything set up by the tree. Everybody got their Christmas jammies on. It's one of our traditions is going with full Christmas jammies, which Burt's Bees makes some really good ones, especially for
They're so soft.
especially for the
We'll have
guys,
to
because you typically
Put our
have
picture.
yeah.
somewhere.
But they're nice and soft, comfy. They're a little warm for the desert, but they do pretty well at night when we don't have the heat on. So
Say that's only been a problem here. We never knew that they were too warm for
Right.
the desert because typically we're spending Christmas where it's 30 degrees outside. So Christmas, again, with everybody living kind of all over the place and with us being very many miles away from family and having Reggie with us, there's no way really that we can leave our trailer or our dog in these various places because we're not at home. And so everybody sent out gift cards and money and all of that, and yeah, we were able to relax and again make another delicious meal because we have a good sized kitchen now, and we enjoyed all of our Christmas Eve traditions too. Typically we go out to eat and we go to church on Christmas Eve night, and so all of our usual Christmas Eve traditions we've been able to do just like we would at home. So you want to start high or low? Good or bad?
let's start with the cons.
Okay.
Let's start with the bad. Get that out of the way.
So what's the worst part about celebrating the holidays on the road?
I would say the stress of travel if we're moving between locations is not necessarily knowing that we're going to be in a specific spot to celebrate. Now, we've done a pretty good job of kind of forecasting that, but you never know, right? You may get to a new site and have to move quickly because of various reasons. But we've been fortunate that when we have celebrated these occasions, we've been in a spot for kind of an extended period of time. We've already been there for a week or so, so we've been able to kind of get our bearings down and figure out where we're at and where the locations are. But that's probably the biggest stress for me. The biggest drawback is not knowing where I'm going to be and being able to sort of plan out the events in advance.
I mean, really, the biggest con for me out of 4th of July was, is it legal to set off fireworks in Oregon? Because I didn't know, and I know that can be a big deal in different states. Like I mentioned, we're from Colorado, where usually we're under a burn ban in the summertime because it's so dry there. So it was more those logistics. As far as planning your route, we don't plan super far in advance, but if you know, oh, I don't want to be moving at Christmas time, or I don't want to be moving at Thanksgiving, find a place where you can stay through those holidays and you don't have to worry about that.
Okay, pros.
The weather. You don't have to be somewhere cold at Christmas time or Halloween, or you don't have to be somewhere super hot in the summer. We mentioned it was hot on the 4th of July, but we did not see 100-degree temperatures the entire spring, summer, fall, winter that we have been traveling, because we've been moving. We were further north in the summer and we moved further south in the
Well, we
winter.
did see 100 degrees here, but that was during Halloween time, which typically back home we could have 8 inches of snow. So we didn't have to plan around that.
I forgot about that. When we first got to the desert, it was a little hot, but now it's like 70.
Yeah, now it's great.
So the weather, you can move where the weather is better if you want to spend time on the beach. We went ice skating in Santa Monica, so we went to the beach, we went to the Santa Monica Pier, and then we went ice skating at a little rink nearby as part of our December celebrations. That's something that you can't do in most other places. Definitely not back home. If you're going ice skating, it's freezing outside. So I love that piece of it.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest pro has been seeing all of the various parts of the country while we're celebrating these, the big holidays, right? When we walk out or when we walk across the street to go to church and we come back and there's this big mountainous scene in the background and we just had, Christmas Eve service, it's amazing. And we're doing, we can do it in shorts if we want to. So we don't have to worry about packing up the car and turning on the heaters and making sure that everybody's bundled up for all of these events. We can just literally walk out, look at the mountains, walk to, I guess we can't walk to the beach here, but in some cases we've been able to walk to the riverbank or walk to the lakeshore or different things like that while we're celebrating these holidays. I think that's the biggest thing for me. Is it's a change of pace, it's a change of scenery every time we do something new when we're celebrating these holidays.
It's almost surreal. It doesn't feel like, wow, did we really see all of that already? And I think the kids too, when they look back on it, are going to be like, wow, we saw a lot and we met people all over the country, which for me has been another pro. I think sometimes you get very locked into your own community, but to meet other people in other parts of the country too and experience how they live and discover that we're all more alike than we may realize, I think is
that the media has you think.
Yeah, than the media has you think. But yeah, just we've made friends now all over, and there's cool places that we've gone and people we've talked to that we never would have experienced if we were at home. So I think for me, just that the way our life has changed has made it such a pro, and the fact that we're able to bring life with us. We're not missing out on holidays. We're not missing out on anything we had back home. We're just making our life fuller, I guess, or richer. And, the kids' birthdays have not happened yet. So they're still kind of planning. We kind of know what states we'll be in for their birthdays and things in the area, but they, I think, are less concerned about that than they were when we started, and they were worried that, oh, our friends won't be there, because they've made friends in all different places.
So in respect to the time of year, it being the end of the year, and we're celebrating New Year's coming up, wanted to wish everybody a happy new year and a wonderful 2024 coming up. This was our 2023 recap and sort of how we celebrated the holidays. We wanted to give you a short video showing you how we did that. So please, everybody, enjoy the new year.
Yeah, and stay tuned. Keep joining us in 2024. We're still on the road. We will be picking up this site and moving on for more adventures, so make sure to keep following along if you want to see where we're at. And if you have any questions, let us know. We're happy to answer those for you.
And don't forget, #GetBrandon a drone.
Yes, #GetBrandonDrone.